Okay, hi guys. I'm here to talk about comparing fractions today. And these sorts of questions might sound something like which of these two fractions is the largest, or circle the smallest fraction out of this collection. Okay, so basically just have a quick look at the question, make sure you're choosing either the largest or the smallest, depending on what they're asking you. And there's a couple of different things you've got to remember. Okay, so if the denominator in the fractions is exactly the same for all of the fractions, then it's very easy. All you need to choose is to look at the numerator and see which one you need to choose, the largest or smallest. So say, for example, in both of these examples, I'm being asked to find the largest fraction in value. Okay, so because the denominator is the same here, all I'm looking at is, well, which is the largest numerator? And in this case, it's 2/3, or 2 is the numerator that's larger. Okay, in this second example, the question might say, which is the largest fraction out of these two? And because the denominator is the same in this example as well, the largest fraction is the one with the largest numerator, this one. Okay, so this is where it could get a little bit tricky. When the denominator is different in the two or more fractions that you've been asked to have a look at, there's two options that you can do. You can convert one fraction to match the other, one to the other, and you do that by timesing or dividing, depending on the situation. We'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. And rarely, but possibly, you might have to convert both fractions to have the same denominator. So with both, you have to have the same denominator to be easily able to tell which one is larger or smaller. Okay, so let's go through some examples. So for this one here, we've got to convert one to the other. Say if you were given the fraction 6/8 compared to 4/16, all right? And the question was, circle the largest fraction there. Okay, so what you need to be able to do is to find an equivalent fraction for one of them so that it matches the other. All right, so you're not changing the value of the fraction, but you are changing the numbers to make it equivalent, if that makes sense, so that the denominators are the same. So here, if you have a look, there are two options here, really. I'm just going to show you one to start, and then I'll talk about the other. Okay, so I could change the 8 here to be a 16, and the key to this, very, very important, that if you change the denominator in a fraction, you absolutely every time must change the numerator as well, using the same number. Okay, if you don't do that and you just change the denominator, then you're actually changing the value of the fraction, which is going to lead you to get a wrong answer probably. Okay, so remember that you must always change the numerator and the denominator. All right, you've got to do both. Okay, so for example, just grab a different color. Here, the easiest, or one easy way you could do it would be to times the 8 by 2 to get 16. And as I said, you've got to change both, change 2. Okay, so this fraction now becomes 12, 6 times 2, over 16. And now I can easily compare it to this one. And so my largest fraction in this case is my 6/8, which I've changed to become 2/16. All right. The other way I could do this question, is I'll just rewrite it so it's a bit clearer. Sorry, just as clear. Okay, so I can actually change this one to be smaller as well. So remember I said two ways you could do it, convert one fraction to the other. You can do it by timesing, which we've already done, or you can do it by dividing. So I'll show you how to divide here. It's really easy. You've just got to think, well, how do I get 16 to become 8? I divide it by 2. And our golden rule, what I do to the bottom, I've got to do to the top. Okay, which I can easily do in this case. So here I've got 6/8 again. And here, 4 divided by 2 is 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Okay, and I can clearly see again, I should get the same answer, that my 6/8 is larger. Okay, now if I couldn't easily divide, then it's very easy to times, but sometimes if this was a 3, for example, 3 divided by 2, then that's going to become quite messy. So I would suggest choosing the easiest one, okay, be it timesing or dividing, to make the denominators match. All right. Okay, so I've just cleared off my board a little bit to make it easier, and I'm just going to go over the second way that is not quite as common, but you still need to know how to do this to make both denominators the same. So here, if you look at this question, there's no real easy way to turn our 4 into a 10 denominator and the top as well, and there's no real easy way to turn the 10 into a 4 and the top as well. Just they don't really have any common factors there that are going to make it easy. And so what you could do, and what you have to do in this case, the best way to do it is to convert both the denominators to a new denominator, and then you can compare because they have the same denominator then. So you're thinking to yourself, well, what are the common multiples being the result of two numbers multiplying together? What are the common multiples of 4 and 10? Well, straight away you would probably think 40 because they're timesing by each other. There's actually a smaller one which will make it easier. If you're really clever, you would have thought already about the number being 20. Okay, so you're thinking to yourself, well, what have I done to 4 to turn it to 20 by multiplying? I've times it by 5. So whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. So I'm going to times that by 5 as well. And you're thinking now, what did I do to 10 to make it to 20? I times it by 2. And so I'll do the same to the top as well. You must do the same to the top to whatever you've done to the bottom. Okay, so here I've done that already. 3 times 5 is 15. And 4 times 2 is 8. So here in this case, I can see that the larger fraction is 15 over 20. Or this one, which is the original 3/4. Okay, good job, guys. I hope you do well. If you've got any questions about that, make sure you run that through with your teacher as well.